Hi, Premalji, welcome once again to this call. So we are discussing one of my technical indicators, which I have termed the scalping indicator.
Okay.
But although the name says scalping, it can be used for any time frame, right?
Okay.
So for example, right now you are seeing the Nifty chart, Nifty 50 index chart,
Okay.
and on the monthly time frame. So let me first explain, what is the components that makes up this indicator, right? So it
Okay.
is basically, a combo of 6 or 7 different indicators combined into one. So one advantage is that for people who are on the free version of TradingView, they cannot use more than 2 indicators,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
this combo indicator kind of solves that problem in a way. Plus, I have done a lot of back testing, power testing, and I've been using it for the last 10 years, primarily on my broker terminal, right? But I've recently coded this into TradingView and I have actually fine-tuned the settings that sort of works, according to my studies, right? So I'll now explain what are the critical components of this indicator. So the first one is called the central pivot range. Are you familiar with what is CPR?
Center behavior rate.
You have heard of CPR?
7 day CPR is above buy or below sell.
So
Breakout.
CPR is
Breakout.
basically,
Central behavior.
yes,
Breakout level.
yes, yes. It's a pivot, right? It's a
Yeah.
central pivot range.
Yeah.
So for example, the way I use it is if I'm below 15 minutes time frame, I use the daily pivot, right? Meaning for my day trading, I use the daily pivot, right? But if
Okay.
I'm on a higher time frame, I'm using swing trading, I switch to a weekly pivot, right? And that is what I've also coded in this indicator, right? So based on your time frame, the CPR kind of adapts, right? So I call it the adaptive CPR. The logic is the same. It's just that the time frame wise, the CPR is selected, right? It is always a higher time frame CPR than the one you're on. For
Okay.
example, right now on the monthly, you are actually seeing a quarterly CPR, right? When I'm on the daily, you will see a monthly CPR. Okay, like that.
Then
So
the daily and hourly your 50 minute CPR is also changed, na?
yes, CPR will adapt to your time frame, right?
Okay.
So basically, I choose the right CPR for the right time frame, right? So you don't have to do anything manually; everything is done for you. Next is the view app, and this only shows up in an intraday time frame because this is a volume weighted average price.
Mhm.
And it is typically said that, if the price is actually when a trend emerges from the view app, that is your best trend, right? So, for example, when price is coiled or compressed around, let's say your Bollinger Band is narrow, your view app price is close to view app, and your CPR, that is the best place to initiate your trade. And then you have to wait for the super trend to give you the signal, and then you can go with it, right? So that is one of the best strategies, and I'll discuss more when I give you some examples, right? So VWAC, super trend is primarily used for generating signal, coloring the bars, as well as to decide your exit, right? So super trend will give you the entry exit.
And so your super lane period is 26 and 30 multiple. Three multiple.
Yes, I have used this one 26 and 3.
Basically, yes, so many analysts who use a 10 or 3 or 11 or 2
So
actually.
this is based on my study, and I think it works. It works on all time frames.
But
And
this is particular is a no, fake signal. Ignore this
so
super.
this is a solution to your problem, right? You said na you exit your trades too early.
Yeah.
So this is a solution to that problem. It allows you to stay in the trade, right? Even on a smaller time frame, it allows you to stay on the trade for a longer time, right? And I will show you how. Even on a 1 minute, 3 minute time frame, I will show you how this is working, right?
Okay.
Then I use the primarily super trend and Bollinger Band to color the candles. So as long as it is above my mid Bollinger Band and above my super trend, it's green, right? If it is below my mid Bollinger Band and below my super trend, it is red. If it is somewhere in between, it is orange, right? So orange is basically a signal that my trend is about to change, but that is not a confirmation about trend change, right?
Okay.
And I will explain when I explain the setup to you. These two EMAs are, short term. This gives you the fastest, sort of entries and exit, but I have preferred not to use it because it becomes too much cumbersome, when you use too many things. So I've kept it off. If you want to use this, you can. but it is not required, not essential, right, for the trade setup that I'm going to discuss. And Bollinger Bands, as we know, it helps us measure the volatility of the price. For
Basically,
example,
all are using Bollinger Band 20 and two standard deviation actually. Your same chart
so I
26.
have always used the 26 settings, right, for it consistently, whether it's
Okay.
for my Donchian channel. So basically, I like the 26 period, and this is based on my study and my analysis.
So this is a Gannon number, maybe 26 years what?
This is just a number. This is I've just done some backtesting,
Okay.
and based on that, I've found that this is working well, right? I mean, if you look at another indicator called what is that? Some cloud is there, no? I'm forgetting the name. Ichimoku.
Ichimoku, okay.
So if you look at Ichimoku, that also uses the 26 period and the 52, which is double of 26. And that is also the reason, one of the reasons I've used 26, because Ichimoku in my mind is one of the most beautiful and versatile indicators if you know how to use it well, because it combines Donchian channels and moving averages primarily, right?
Okay.
And that is also one of the reason I have switched to 26 rather than the standard settings, right? So that is part of the reason. And I have backtested and I've seen that it is working beautifully. And hence, on higher time frame, I switch to the default, right? So let's say on monthly and higher, it will override to 20 and 2. But on lower time frames, I use this. If you want to use something else, you can change it, right?
Okay.
But you have to backtest and you have to see if it is working consistently, right? So that is the key. The key to any strategy is, in the backtest, right? So the more you can backtest, the more you can generate the data, the more you can, train your, it's what I call the training your eyes and the brain, right? To understand and, how your stock behaves with respect to the indicator, right? So backtesting is extremely critical. So that is all about it. And then I use this EMA channel primarily as, what I think is it is above the channel means bullish, below the channel means bearish, like that, right? So it's like I use this as a Lakshman Rekha, so to speak, right? But I don't use this to color the indicators. This is just a visual guide, right? So now, assuming that, you were trading this on the monthly, see, the very simple strategy is if the candle is green, you can go long, because all of the indicator logic is coded in the candles coloring, right? So as long as the candles are green, you can go long and you can stay long. Now I will tell you how to avoid fake signals. You asked that question, right? Now see,
Yes.
here the candle became red, right? Candle became red, right? Because it came below the super trend and all
Super
that.
10. Yeah.
But did any candle close below this signal candle?
This is a Dwyer channel?
Did any candle after this candle close below this candle?
No.
Which means it is a fake candle. So irrespective of your time frame, whenever you get a red candle, right? If you are on a bigger time frame, then one candle is enough, like 15 minutes and above, one candle is enough. But if you're on a smaller time frame, let's say 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, then I suggest you mark the high and low of that fake candle and maybe the two candles after it. In this case, one candle is enough.
Okay.
Now, this is your signal candle. Okay. Signal candle means signal to sell short, right? But are you going to go short?
No.
No. You are going to observe what happens in the subsequent candles. At least two more candles you have to observe.
Okay.
Now, if these two candles is not able to breach and it is, again crosses the, let's say that you can also mark the midpoint of this range. So as soon as, it is not able to cross and it crosses above the midpoint, especially if it's a big candle like this, the midpoint is important, right? And you can see there is a CPR also here. So price did not breach below this low, and then it showed this kind of candle, right? This kind of candle is indicative of what? This candle. This is a bullish pressure, right? So
Yeah.
it tried to go down, but bulls, and it closed exactly above the CPR line. So this candle itself indicated key trend has changed. And this I'm talking on a monthly time frame. You can use this concept on any time frame. Now you can mark the high of this candle, and as soon as the price goes above the high, you can go long. So your technically long would have triggered here itself. And see,
Yes.
it is above the channel. It is you can either initiate here or above the pivot. That is completely up to you. Both are equally good. Although the candle is red, you can technically go long here. And that is the beauty of this indicator, because it can, if you understand just what I described, right, in the last 10 minutes, can you summarize, whatever I just described? Let me understand whether you got what I was trying to communicate. Can you please summarize what I just described in the last 10 minutes?
You say, but the long candle is the not below candle. This is Daikin channel, not break. So this is a fake channel. First channel, candle red
Yes,
candle.
so this is the
Is fake.
first red candle, right? Because the
Ah,
trend was green, correct?
okay.
It was bullish.
This is a
So
15-minute candle. So yeah, 10
I
minute.
will come to 15 minutes. I'm showing you on a higher time frame on purpose, just to show you that if you are a long-term investor, right, you should not be scared by such candles. In fact, you should use these candles to add. Let's say, you have certain stocks, right? You should, your stock will become much cheaper, no, when you get this kind of a candle.
Okay.
You should use this drop to actually add and average your position, right? Because your holding is for next 10 years or 20 years or 30 years, right? You never have to sell. See, India has never been on a sell technically, except for some minor blips here and there. I'm talking on a higher time frame, monthly or higher.
Monthly
Maybe
or
1 2 months, 3 months maximum, it has been on a sell. After that, it bounced. Even the COVID crash, that was very fast and furious. But even
yes.
if you take the 2008, it was just a few months that it was down, right? So the problem is, people exit at the bottom, right? When they should be adding,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So, anyways, so see, the key is, if you are on a certain trend and if you get a candle like this, right, which is a big, tall, red candle, you should always mark the high and low, right? And observe whether the next 2 to 3 candles max is able to breach the low. If it is not able to breach the low, rather it breaches above, the midpoint. Since it's a big candle, I would use the midpoint, right? So I will take the retracement tool. I would sort of, mark the midpoint. So this is a midpoint. See, the midpoint is also coinciding with your CPR. And this
Yes.
candle closed above the midpoint, closed above the CPR. So my bull signal came right here. I would have gone long right here. Let's say if I'm scared to go long here, I would be very confident of going long here, because it is a clear indication of a trend change. If you understand the psychology of this candle, see,
Okay.
at one time during the month, this candle was fully red, right?
Yes.
But then by the end of the month, when it closed, it became
Green.
like this. What does
Okay.
it mean? That bears tried to take it down, but the bulls pushed it up, and pushed it up towards the top 10% of the candle high.
Okay.
So when this kind of candles you get on any time frame, you know that the trend has changed, and the next candle will tell you that also.
Okay.
So whenever you
Basically,
get a
this is a
reversal,
normal.
so
This is
this
a
is,
normal
you
candle.
ask, no, how can I spot reversal? You
Yes.
need to spot candles like this.
But this is a monthly time frame. Then I have
No, it
used.
doesn't matter what time frame. The candle character does not change. No,
Kindly shift the monthly to daily. This candle is which
no,
point?
I will show you on all time frames. I'm just saying, the psychology of how you should interpret the signals, right? So it is not just about the color, it is about little bit more. So this is what I call a magical candle.
Magical candle. Okay.
The reason it is magical candle, because this candle decides the fate of your stock for the entire upcoming months. Imagine, if you sold here, you would be regretting, right? You missed
Yes.
out on this such a big rally.
Yes.
If you sold here at the bottom, will you be crying or not here when you
Yes.
see
Yes.
this?
Yes.
Will you enter here or no? I mean, most people will miss out on this rally
Yes.
when you should be actually cashing in, right? This is your time to double your quantity, right? If you're holding some quantity, you should definitely add here. Most retailers will be exiting here, and
Okay.
the big boys will make money here, right? So there is a difference. So now let me go, to my favorite time frame. Let's jump directly to 15 minutes. Same stock, same strategy. Okay. So, see, which day should I explain? Can you give me a day? Can we explain from the bottom? Because you wanted to catch the bottom, right?
Yes.
Let's start from the recent most bottom, right? And that too with a huge gap down. Is
Gap
it
up,
not?
gap down here.
Huge gap down, right?
Yes.
So typically, people will be afraid and exit everything here, right? That is the
Yes.
common behavior.
Yeah.
But look at this, the same logic that I explained, right? Look at this candle. Mark the high, mark the low. Did any candle break below this low?
No. This is
This
a
is the first candle that broke above this high. Is it true or not?
yes.
It also broke above the super trend. It is above VWAP. It crossed above the mid Bollinger Band, and hence the candle is green. So your long signal came right here on that same day. In fact, I
Yes.
would have bought here. You know why? Because I can see that it formed a bottom and another bottom, another bottom. I would have bought right here on this candle. This was my buy candle. Because bulls have defended their territory. I would have bought here my few quantity here, and I would have added my quantity here, and I will keep adding into this thing, right? Now look at this beauty. Once you got a green candle, you can hold on to it. Listen to me carefully, right? Once you get a green candle, you can hold on to it until you get a red candle, and another subsequent candle breaches and closes below that low, like how I explained, right? So this was the red candle, no?
Yes.
Imagine you are starting here, but did any candle close below this low?
No.
If it were closed, I would have shorted.
Yes.
And the thing is, see, it is happening on the back of so much of a movement already, right? Meaning people who shorted here, they'll be booking profits here. No, they made so
Yes.
much money.
Yeah.
So all these big boys shorted here, and they made so much money here already. So this is a place where big boys will exit and they will go long, whereas retailers will do the opposite. So it is a psychology difference.
Yes. This is a main discipline
Boys, yeah,
psychology
so
game.
big boys will always sell at the high and buy at the low, whereas retailers will do the exact opposite.
Yeah.
We always buy at the high and sell at the low, right? Now that is a psychological problem
Yeah. Right.
because you wait, and you don't know when to enter.
The currently market is slowly consolidation zone. So many my friends are where fear from the market is down more and blah
So,
blah blah.
so see, if you see this, I build this indicator explicitly for retailers who don't know how to enter, when to enter, and who don't know how to time the market, how to catch the bottom. See, exact bottom I told you how to catch, and that requires a little bit of interpretation. So
Yes.
when you get a red candle like this, right, with a gap down and no candle, wait for two candles, right? You can even mark the high and low of two candles, 30 minutes lelo. First
Okay.
30 minutes, okay?
For 30 minutes. Okay.
First 30 minutes. Then look at which way the price breaks. Which way the price broke? Upside, no. So you go long. And my indicator is also telling you to go long here. And look at this. After this, did any candle close below this? Below this green signal candle?
Yes.
Next day gap up, defended, right? Did not breach the super trend also.
Yes.
Even the high that I marked, that also was protected, right?
Yes.
Next day, did it break the super trend? It is below the Bollinger Band, which is why it is colored orange. But did it break the super trend?
No.
Which is why orange, right? So you keep holding. In fact, I would add more positions here because this is where the big players added, build their positions. And this was also an expiry day. I
Okay.
remember this. An expiry day, big boys kept it in a range, they added.
Yeah, it's a premium decay that I have.
So this is where big boys come in.
Yes.
This is the footprint of the big guys, institutional buyers. Okay. So the smart money came here.
Okay.
Smart money exited. I mean, the shorts exited here. The longs came here. The bulls. And look at this. It is also now within this channel. Can you see
This is
how
working on can you see same?
this is not Heikin. This is normal candles.
This is the normal candle, but work in can I see same criteria?
Heiken-Ashi is a study, right? I have done my own studies and I have built it. So I have not used Heiken-Ashi.
Basically, I have used in Hackness in long time actually. So this
You
candle
can
is
use
my
whatever. So, but the thing is, you told me that you are not able to identify bottom and all. So if your setup is not helping, my question is, how is it helping you?
yes. Basically, with a normal candle, I not find which candle is from engulfing or
So when you use this indicator, it will color the candles, right, for you. So for example, if I remove the color, right? If I go here, you can remove the color also, right? If I remove the color, it is all red, no.
yes,
But when I add it, it is not red, it is orange. It is not asking you to exit. It is asking you to hold on. And that is
okay,
the exact problem you stated, right? How do I know when to enter, when to exit?
yes,
So my candle color will tell you when to enter. And that too, when you get a color change, I will explain. See, no color change here. Hold. You can even add. You can keep adding for the first 3 days, no, after the bottom. This is the time to make your position if you're a swing trader.
yes,
And if you did that, imagine the kind of, and look at this. This is another fake candle. Same, exact same thing. When a fake candle happens, mark the high, mark the low. Did any candle close below this low of the fake candle?
yes,
If not, this is your again your magical candle. Again, you can add your positions here, or
okay,
at least here. Once it crosses the high, here you can add. If you're not comfortable adding here, you can add here.
yes,
And look at the move after that. Look at the move. Again, fake candle towards the end of the day. You finally got your exit signal here because one candle closed below this. This is
yes.
where your exit happened. 24, almost 24, 200. Now, where did you enter? You entered
2000 per
here.
almost, 2000 per almost.
22,200 you entered, 24,200. So 2,000 points in
Yes,
one trade, just that too on a 15-minute time frame
yes,
and across multiple days without
yes,
emotions. I also explained how to take care of emotions. This is your emotional candle, right?
yes,
And I explain the rules how to manage their emotion also. So what you need to simply do is you need to put one stock, 15-minute time frame, this indicator, go and backtest for 1 year.
okay, okay,
Go and backtest 1 year, 2 years, जितना कर सकोगे उतना आपका mindset improve होगा. You will be surprised and note down all your trades. Note down how many trades you are ending in profit, how many trades you are closing in loss, what is the average profit. I mean, if you take up all the trades that you ended in profits divided by the number of profitable trades, you get an average profit per trade, right? Same you can do average loss per trade. Look at
yes.
what is better. How much is your average loss versus average profit? And consider, how many trades is in profit versus loss. Now, if you look at these two metrics, that's enough to know whether your strategy is working or not.
Can you explain some stock actually Paras defense?
Anything? No, I have given you the indicator. You go and apply. See, these are my favorite stocks. ABB, Siemens. Look at any stock, any time frame. Look at what happened on ABB on the same day, 7th of April. Same story. Same story. Candle closed with a gap down, no candles closed below. Held
Yes,
above the super trend and VWAP. I would have gone long here. I would have gone long here. Right? Super trend held. Color did not change. Did not change. Did not change. I got an exit signal. I would partially exit or fully exit. Whenever the
yes,
signal tells me that boss exit, I will exit. Again, I will enter. On this candle, I will enter again. But if my setup is telling me to exit, I will exit. On this candle, I will exit. For sure, I will exit. Because I don't know na kitna niche jaane wala hai. It is below my VWAP. It is below my mid Bollinger Band. I got a big candle. Next candle close below. All my conditions are only thing that was giving me support was this EMA line. Only thing giving me support. So I could have also held partially because I'm
but
still above.
sometimes
This
market
is
has
my
a
Lakshman
gap.
Rekha. What did I tell you? This channel is my Lakshman Rekha.
Okay,
It means that this marks the territory between bulls and bears. According to me, you
okay,
can use any EMA channel, right? People use 200 EMA typically.
Yes.
But I feel this is working. I use an offset
Okay.
with an 88 EME. The reason I use 88 is because 88 is a Mercury number. Mercury completes one rotation of the sun in 88 days. And Mercury is a very important planet for
Okay.
Nifty, for any Nifty stock.
So 85 week cycle or 88 week cycles?
It doesn't matter. 88 is a number.
Okay.
You can apply it on any time frame.
So basically Nifty change or every 85 week cycle is the change Nifty in Nifty.
85, then if you take in days, it is around 54, 55 days, right? So different studies are there.
Yes.
But Mercury is one planet that rules Nifty.
As per doubt here, actually 85 weeks or the 85 weeks cycle actually.
Who is going to trade on 85 week cycle? Are you going to trade?
I would observe last 1 year.
No, you can observe. It is good for analysis and your technical study. That I'm not, denying. But are you
Basically,
going to trade that cycle, 85 week? Are you going to wait for 85 weeks to initiate your trade? That is my question to you.
no. But
So
basically,
then you have to use something that works, no, on your smaller time frame.
okay.
So I've adjusted. I think 88 is a bare minimum that I need to demarcate a trend, and I've used 88. That's all.
Okay. So
If you
basically,
want some other
sometimes
number, you can use some other number, but you have to do the back testing. You have to go, I mean, you change every time you change a setting, you have to go and complete and repeat your back test. Otherwise, you
basically
use the
sometimes
settings that I've given.
but sir, basically sometimes so I have buy some stock and next they are gap down actually. So
Gap down is the same. No, I already explained. How many times do you want me to explain this? When there is a big gap down, mark the high and low of the first two candles, 30 minutes.
okay.
And then act accordingly. Whichever way price moves after that gap down, if it keeps moving lower, you go short. If it shows signs of bottoming out and then goes higher, you go long. That's it. Very simple rule. And you
Okay.
can apply that on any gap down day. Gap down has to be significant, not like 10, 20 points, right? At least 0.5%, 1%. I mean, if it is
2%,
stocks,
3%, yeah.
at least 1-2% gap down, gap up, gap down. If it is Nifty, minimum 0.5% gap up, gap down, then you can act with that rule. See, most often this gap up and gap down is a way to trap retailers and then to reverse.
Okay.
Every day you will see this.
Yeah. Last 2-3 months there is the same gap up.
Not 2-3 months. You go and check entire history. You will see the same thing repeating ever and ever, over and over again.
Okay.
It is not just 2-3 months. I mean, it is happening more since COVID. The level of volatility is crazy. But I think you can, if you go and study the history, you will find this phenomenon happening many times. It's the same thing. It's a repeating pattern. So the way I trade gap up and gap down is what I just explained, very simply. So see, my indicator allows you to stay in the trade for as long as you want. I use it in many different ways, right? For example, I use it to also analyze what is the state of the market. So there are only two states according to me. There is an expanded state, right? So like how when the Bollinger Band is far wide, it is an expanded state, right? When it is collapsed, right? Now when the Bollinger Band is collapsed and it is near to your CPR, right? And your EMA and everything is coiled together, right? This is basically telling me it is preparing for a big move, right? So I use this volatility contraction to initiate my long strangles. I simply, buy out of the money, call and put options and hold it for the next 5 days.
Okay.
What will happen is as soon as the price gives a big move, no, all I want to capture is a 5-10% move.
Yes.
And the reason I go with a long strangle rather than a naked, you can also do, you see, if you are very confident of, see, now my indicator is telling me this is bearish, right? So you can just go go short with puts. But usually, I do with the strangle. I may do a directional strangle. For example, I may be a little bit more bent towards the short side than the long side, but I still use the long as a hedge. So that even if the move goes against me, my loss would be limited. And I will have the time to exit without emotion. I will not have the fear. But when it starts giving a big fall, no, my long straddle will give me very good profit. It has to at least be a 5% plus move. Now with that long strangle, I have the mental capacity to hold. See, if it moves one candle up, down, I am not worried.
Okay.
I don't keep my stop loss. My stop loss is I wait for 3, 4, 5 days, nothing happens, I exit. Or I hold. I will analyze the condition at that time and then I will decide, right? If it is a small loss, I will keep hold, right?
Oh.
But if I feel that, it is beyond the threshold and there is a lot of theta decay happening without any, see, usually, a stock can spend up to, 11 days, sometimes more than that. 21 days also it can spend, right? In a very narrow range,
Yeah,
right? So I don't want to wait till that long, right? I wait till at least, 5 to 9 days at most for the stock to show the hand. If it doesn't show the hand, that's fine. I will go to something else. Okay.
Okay.
So there are many ways to trade this indicator. I mean, if you read the description of the indicator, right, that I wrote, you will find some different ways to use this, right? The other ways to look at is, how wide is your CPR, right? A wide CPR is an indicative of sideways market, right? Generally, that is the psychology, right? Because the reason the CPR is wide is because in the previous period, you got a big move. So when in the previous period, you get a big move, price tends to consolidate in the next period, right? And
Yes.
when price tends to consolidate, the CPR becomes narrow for the next period. When the CPR becomes narrow and then your price and Bollinger Band, everything compresses together like this, right?
Yes.
Then you can expect a big move. So you should initiate your position when the state is narrow and then swell when the state is wide. So all this Bollinger Band and CPRs is also helping me determine the state of the market. Is it in a narrow state? Is it in a wide state? I always enter when the state is narrow. That is the other thing you can do. Unless, there are special days like this, right? When it is like an exhaustion gap. It is
Yes.
an exhaustion gap, right? So there are two types of gaps, right? Exhaustion gap, runaway gaps, and various types of gaps, right? So this is an example of exhaustion gap. I will use these exhaustion gaps because I know, and this is also an astrologically significant date and all that, like if you study astrology and all that, right?
Yes.
If you know, potential dates of reversal based on your study, then you can use combine all those probabilities and the technical indicator to go along right here.
Okay.
You don't have to wait for it to be, for many things, right? So you can actually take an early entry. I mean, that was one of your question, right? How do I catch the bottom? So you catch the bottom like this. Exactly when there are technical, exhaustion gaps, right? Where there is a technical gap down and then price moves up, or there is a technical gap up and price moves down, right? I teach a strategy, called Gann pressure date based on the solar cycle, right?
Yes.
That works very well exactly on this condition,
Okay.
right? On those dates, when there is a gap up and gap down, you can make anywhere from 25%, 50% to even 100% of your options premium. Let's say you entered, an options at roughly around 20,000, right? Stock options are around that, no? Nifty also probably around that. So you can at least expect, 25% of that, 50%, even 100% sometimes you can get return on your capital.
Oh.
So it means that, if you have entered at 20,000, right, per lot, then you can expect 25% of that, right, or 1/4. 1/4 of that is what, like 5,000. Minimum 5,000 you can expect. Which
Yeah.
means what? In 5 trades, you can literally double your capital.
Yes.
So that is a brilliant strategy for small option traders who do not have a lot of capital. Let's say they have only less than 1 lakh. I definitely recommend that strategy because that strategy you can do only on specific days, not on every day.
Yeah.
Only on Gann pressure date, and that too when the technical setup is right. And there are certain other rules that I teach, right, on how to enter, exit, and all that, right? How to protect how to manage your losses and other things. So there is a detailed strategy that I teach in my advanced course.
Okay.
Okay, so I think that is enough for today, Mr. Premal. So let me stop the recording now and we can discuss further. Just give me one moment.